In the first phase, PSG were starting with a short pass from the goal kick. Both PSG centre back were split alongside the goalkeeper, and PSG's fullback were providing width by staying high and wide. Maccabi were pressing with front two in the first phase, and PSG's backline had the number advantage of 3 versus 2 players in front of Maccabi's front line. So Maccabi's frontmen were not pressing PSG's backline, and Maccabi's frontmen were playing alongside to PSG's pivot, and Maccabi's frontmen were isolating PSG's pivot. In the first phase, Maccabi's front two were central and narrow. PSG's pivot was centrally isolated and under pressure due to the Maccabi's frontmen were operating centrally and narrowly. In the build-up phase, Maccabi's frontmen were covering PSG's pivot, and with Maccabi's front two being narrow, PSG had the number advantage of 2 versus 1 player in front of the PSG's pivot. So the pivot of PSG was not able to receive the ball centrally, and PSG were having trouble building the game from the center. In the first phase, when PSG's right centre-back had the ball, Maccabi's frontman was ready to curve press PSG's centre-back, and Maccabi's second forward was covering PSG's pivot. And when PSG's left centre-back had the ball, Maccabi's right forward was ready to curve press PSG's left centre-back, and Maccabi's left forward was covering PSG's pivot. And when PSG's goalkeeper had the ball, both Maccabi's forwards were holding central and narrow position to isolate PSG's pivot. In open play, Maccabi were building the game in back three. In open play, both Maccabi's wing back were pushing high. In the final third, when the ball was on the left or right hand side, PSG's midfield was overloading the side depending on which side ball was on. So if Maccabi were losing ball position in the final third, PSG were backing Maccabi on turnover. Both the wingbacks of Maccabi were pushing high, so the wide zone were open for PSG. And in transition, PSG were 3 versus 3 in front of Maccabi's backline. Now PSG had the advantage of 3 versus 3 players, so if PSG's left forward moved inside, PSG's right wide back was forced to drift inside. And with right wide back moving inside, space was being created for PSG's number 10 and 1v1 in front of Maccabi's goalkeeper. PSG were building the game in back three in open play. Both PSG's fullback were operating high in open play. Now PSG's backline was 2v2 in front of Maccabi's backline, so PSG's central midfielder was dropping in and joining PSG's backline. PSG had 3 versus 2 player number advantage against Maccabi's frontline due to the drop in of PSG's central midfielder. With PSG's central midfielder dropping in, PSG had protection in defense and PSG's left back could push high. In open play, PSG's number 10 was dropping in. Maccabi's midfield was 3 versus 3 as Neymar dropped in. Now there was 3 versus 3 situation in the midfield. So when PSG's midfielders or Neymar was receiving the ball in midfield, PSG's fullback were dropping in and creating 5 versus 3 situation in front of Maccabi's second line. Now Maccabi's midfield was central and narrow, so Maccabi had no midfielder in the wide zone to cover PSG's fullback. Neymar was drifting wide and Maccabi's center midfielder was forced to track back Neymar as Neymar drifted wide. And with Maccabi's center midfielder being out of position, space was being created in midfield and PSG's number 10 was using that space very well. Maccabi's wingback was committed on PSG's fullback and PSG's inside forward was operating in the half space. In open play, if Maccabi's wingbacks were committed on PSG's fullback, then PSG were 3v3 in transition. So when the ball was switched from midfield, PSG's left inside forward was free to receive the ball, and in transition, PSG had the number advantage of 4 versus 3 players. In open play middle third, PSG's right back was operating higher than PSG's left back. Due to the PSG's right back operating high, PSG's central midfielder was drifting wide and protecting the right hand side. With PSG central midfielder drifting wide, Fabian was giving an extra passing option to PSG's backline